Hello everyone, let's talk fantasy. In this video, we're going to talk about the White Walkers' possible social hierarchy. I have always believed that they have their own agenda, which differs from the humans, and is not centered on taking them all out. This can be observed even in the finale episode of Season 7, confirming my suspicions when I saw that there were differences between them. I find it interesting that they show some characteristics that seem human, such as strategy, thought, and possibly premeditation, even empathy, as you can see from the picture where the Night King looks very worried. The Night King was concerned, to me anyways. I wanted to comment on the chains, as well as the spears. As I have previously stated, even in the book that Gilly was reading with Sam about the long night, you can see on the covers spears and in the cave paintings even. Obviously, if a group of humanoids have been in Westeros for thousands of years, it is possible that they have gathered weapons, objects, etc., and probably have a place where they live their everyday lives. I feel that it's not far-fetched to understand that they would have this prop. Now, after the Night King first appeared, I noticed a form of sigil which I believe denotes the location where he intends to seek, or there's going to be a big reveal and felt that this was his house, so to speak, the sigil. They also have different lengths of beards and hair. This could be nothing, but could also mean some form of reference to hierarchy within the group, much like other cultures that we know that have either perforations on the skin or different head shapes to denote nobility. I also noticed the details on the uniform, which could hint to a reference where they are within the food chain. Here I point out a few things. So these led me to think about the actual European feudal system in medieval times where you have a king, nobles, etc. In Westeros, keep in mind this world is not Earth when trying to find logic in some events. This is the current structure in Westeros. They have a semi-feudal system that is shifting to a more reformed society but without showing signs of the beginning of capitalism as it occurred in their history. Maybe a period of chaos denoted by the death of Littlefinger. I don't know. Evidently, we cannot pinpoint exactly where these creatures are in the pyramid, and for this theory, we're using it merely as reference. The Night King is a king. A king is a ruler by right of birth, and in some cases, revolution like Robert Baratheon. I feel the symbol of the Night King could possibly be a location, because I couldn't find a reference to cosmology or an equivalent symbol. Still working on it though. So this shape is a circle and an inverse triangle or arrow. Well, that's actually an upside down triangle with two triangles or an upside down triangle in the middle. The upside down triangle makes me think of math and trigonometry, hence the location reference. I did find a reference of what they call an erect triangle, which means male, solar, mountain, father, among others. The inverted triangle upwards I found represents female, lunar, cave mother, and other. Is this a hint to Daenerys Targaryen? So both the lake in Winterfell and the symbol could mean the above, or the Night King's symbol could mean a location in which an event occurs, probably with Brandon Stark. We also see this shape in the finale, so this reinforces my belief that this symbol is important, such was the cave scene, right? Now looking into the other White Walker characters, we can also see from some form of sigil, which is intended by the costume designer in my view. I would place them in the noble section of the pyramid. Note that they are the Night King's horsemen, much like the king and queen are always surrounded by nobility. The Night King seems to have this particular group closest to him, from what I gather, which makes me think of the Highborns such as the Starks and Lannisters. This particular humanoid has middle-length hair and middle-length beard. I noticed that the closest to the Night King, the less hair they have. So made me think this has a higher influence. The uniform is also slightly different from what I call the lowborn. The symbol from afar seems like almost a dog's palmate, the foot of the dog. But looking up close, it is three spirals, much like the Celtic symbol. The Celtic symbol, called the Triskele or Triskelion, represents the cycle of life, death, and rebirth. Makes me think that the White Walkers seek a renaissance of life in this planet. Nobles belong to a class of special status, and I have noted there always seems to be more than one family or house, such as with the White Walkers, as we can see from the plot arc. This takes me to the second group, which is with a symbol that looks like a sun to me. John encounters a separate group with on the wall in season 7, which I feel is just placed to show that there is more to the story of the White Walkers. The symbolism of the sun denotes life and also the cycle of life, which reinforces the idea that the White Walkers seek to restore the foundation that mankind broke with their petty and pointless war to the throne. So as we've seen with the other house, the hair and the beard, it seems longer to me than the highborns. So I feel this group represents the lowborn. Their uniform is different as well. I strongly feel that the cave scenes hold a very important meaning to the ending of the Song of Ice and Fire, and thus the repetitive use of cosmology and symbolism throughout the series. Then we have the knights, the patrolling White Walkers, I feel. They are often seen by man in the woods and even drawn in the caves at Dragonstone, which makes sense to me. They wouldn't see much of the high or lowborn, and that is why we don't see a drawing of them. The last are the peasants, which I feel are represented by the turned, the slave equivalent of humans. Once they are turned, they seem to have a fierce loyalty, like their existence and consciousness has been wiped out. This is extremely important if you further analyze the broken balance of spirituality and the projection in the White Walkers' push towards the south. My conclusion is something like this. Of course, it is not intended to depict a social structure equivalent to what we know for man, since they are, as some call, zombies. But I feel something like this could represent their culture, maybe? This is for certain. I do not feel they are acting out of just randomly, without a cause. They are not looking for death. They are looking for stability and rebirth, as we can see from the symbolism. Remember that all stories are told by those from their perspective, and the enemy on one side could be the victor in the other. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment. We're on Patreon and on Facebook. You can see daily scheduled posts with ideas, theories, and observations that you may find interesting. Hope you enjoy these discussions as much as I do. God bless. See you soon.